Welcome into Phoenix Breathwork, the podcast, Breathe to Rise. My name is Jessie and I'm your host. I will be using this platform to share the power and magic of breathwork and to empower you to be able to transform your life as much as I have mine. I will share my experiences and will be inviting on some incredible guests to share their stories too. Look forward to guided breathwork practices and meditations to help you explore and build your own relationship with yourself and your breath. Get settled in and enjoy what's to come. Make sure to like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will ensure to keep creating more. I hope you are inspired in some way. Let's breathe to rise. Hello and welcome into Phoenix Breathwork, the podcast, Breathe to Rise. I am Jessie, your host. And today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more about connection. So this weekend, I had my first breath workshop of the year, and it was as incredible as always. But the last couple of days, I have really been reflecting on how powerful it was for us to come together and not just to breathe, but to share our experiences and connect on a deeper level. So in the format of my sessions, when everyone comes together, we breathe, and then there is space at the end for everyone to share. But this time, I really felt strongly called to allow some space at the beginning for everyone to come in and share how they're feeling, what's brought them there today, and just what's coming up for them, and if they had an intention, just anything at all, just a bit of space to share. And I was called to give this space because it's been a tricky time for a lot of people, right? And coming out of Christmas and New Year, coming through January, with the end of January almost already, and there's a lot of energies moving around, and we can start to put a lot of pressure on ourselves and feel like we're being left behind already, which is crazy. But I just wanted to check in and see how everyone was doing. And it surprised me at just how powerful it was. So I knew it would be important for us to connect and share. But the openness, the vulnerability, the connections, the support, it really, really humbled me and just warmed my heart, because giving yourself that space to share, giving yourself permission to be vulnerable and open in a room full of people you don't know is beyond powerful. And the way that the group held space for each other was just beautiful. I don't know about you and your thoughts, but I strongly believe that when a group of people come together for an event, for some with an intention of some sort, when a group of people come together, every single one of those people is meant to be there. I strongly believe that. You're not there by mistake. You know, even if someone's dropped out, you took someone else's place, or you decided at the last minute, you are meant to be there in that space, because we are all so unique and we all have something so powerful we can offer and bring to each other and to the world. And this is what I witnessed again at the weekend. And it's happened in many of my workshops. In most of them, well, everyone connects with their breath and has something powerful come through for them. But what I'm really reflecting on these last few days is how powerful it was for us to open up and share just what's happening for us at that time, what support we might be looking for, and receiving that in. And it was just beautiful to watch, because some of the people who shared, you could see the emotions coming up, you could feel the emotions coming up. So just by having that space to be heard was already healing, And yes, I always say, when you come into a space to breathe and the intention is there to breathe, your body knows what's coming. It's almost like we start to access something already. So we may already be a bit open, a bit vulnerable, but to be able to then verbalize what's going on and have that space held for you and to be heard by people. And there is not one person in that room that I don't think resonated with something everyone shared. And that is another reminder of how we are all the same and how we are all connected. And we lose this connection so easily. Yes, we did have a couple of years where we weren't able to connect as easily and everything moved online. And it was great that we had another way to connect, but there are elements of that being able to connect in person, that human to human connection. It hasn't quite come back to where it was before, or maybe we're not as familiar with it, or maybe it feels far too vulnerable for us and strange and uncomfortable. And also there's that fear of judgment and the comparison. And gosh, social media is one of the biggest culprits of this. And I love it for what it does, like it serves its purpose, but we can get lost in it and it can bring to the front, a lot of our fears. And that old comparison that maybe we have when we see people's beautiful lives that they're sharing and their successes that they're sharing. And we maybe, if we're going through something ourselves and it's quite a challenging time or a tricky time and we're having difficulties, whatever it might be, and we're not quite where others are, but that's all we're seeing when we look online, and that's all we're hearing when we meet with people. Oh yeah, things are great, really busy, things are going well, da da da. And what's underneath all of that is what's not shared. And we all know that on these social platforms, the majority of people will just share the good, the positives, the wins, the uplifting. And that is great and inspiring and should be celebrated, absolutely. But life is here to challenge us, to help us to grow, to let us become and evolve who we're meant to be. And that brings challenges. And there are ups and downs. And, that's why we say we're always riding the roller coaster of life. And when we're in that tricky time ourselves, but we see around us everyone is doing well, it can make us feel like we can't share what's going on because what's wrong with me? Why is this happening to me when everyone else is doing great? I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to think this. I don't want people to pity me. A number of things can go through our mind. And so this is why I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but I love talking about this because I think it's so powerful that in the workshop on Sunday, there was so much openness, truth, and vulnerability. And that, my darling, is where your power is. Once you can open and recognize what's happening for you and be able to share it, firstly, to get some support, to allow yourself to begin to heal that, release it, do what you need to do to work through that and move forward, move through it. But also, the other really powerful thing is that when you can be that open, when you can be that vulnerable, when you allow yourself to share your truth and what's really going on for you, what you might really need in that moment, then you might then be giving someone else permission to do the same. And that, I think, is so powerful as well, because we are designed to live together, to be connected. We are not creatures of isolation. We are not designed to live alone and create life on our own. We are meant to have connection, to have community, to be together. And when we can openly share our experience, it can give someone else permission to say, me too, and understand that they're not the only ones going through something at that time. And it might give them I guess, comfort to know that they're not the only one, and inspiration to know that maybe if you've worked through something and you've had an experience that they're now going through, they know that they will get through that because you have. And sometimes we carry so much shame and guilt and, you know, all these heavy emotions around ourselves and our experiences and our lives that are actually just put on us from society and expectations and what we've been taught from a young age or what we've seen around us, when actually none of it is true. None of it is true. It's just an experience that you've had, and that does not define you. It could be an experience that you're having right now that does not define you. You are allowed to have emotions. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to ask for support. And it's really interesting how we think we must be independent, we must be capable, we must do things by ourselves and have all this responsibility on our shoulders. And it's great if we can manage that. But, sometimes it's not sustainable. And sometimes, we don't need to do that by ourselves. One of the beautiful participants that came along was also saying how they love coming to the workshops on a regular basis because they have been practicing breathwork for a while, but they are unable to do it at home by themselves, and they don't know how to do it by themselves, or they cannot make themselves do it at home on their own. And it seemed like there was some self-criticism and self-judgment there as well. And it was a beautiful share, because then we could remind them that actually you don't have to do it on your own. And it's not easy to do on your own. Like anything, so not just building a breathwork practice, but anything, you don't have to start out and you don't have to build it all by yourself. We are here to help each other. We're here to support each other. We're here to be together. So we don't need to keep ourselves isolated, and we don't have to put that pressure on ourselves. So it was just a really powerful insight, reflection moment, space to open up. And once we were able to do this and we go into the breath, and the breath really helps us to embody what we want to move forward into. It helps us to release any of that emotion that we're carrying by allowing ourselves to feel it. Because a lot of the time we've stored that emotion away, and that's why sometimes when we start to talk about what's going on, the emotion comes up because it's starting to release, and the breath can help to really clear that out and help us to move through it so we're no longer carrying it. And it can help us to break those old limiting beliefs that might be keeping us stuck there, and those patterns that are repeating. So by using the breath, working with the breath, this can really help us to get in there, to unlock it, to break it open, to clear it, and to create that life that you really want, and create those connections. And it was just a beautiful experience. And this is something that I really want to take forward more in all of my sessions. So when I host these workshops, and even when I work with individuals in all of my spaces, first of all, it's so important to create safety, because one of the participants did say that. They said that they, thanked me for the safe space in which they could allow themselves to be that vulnerable and open and release what they need to. But aside from that, me holding the space, it's you, everyone there, holding the space for each other. So honouring that, welcoming that, allowing that. And actually, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. So as I'm sharing this, is there anything that comes to mind for you? Is there maybe a time where you felt that someone has said something or shared something about themselves, and it's given you just a bit of comfort, maybe, to know that it's not just you going through something, or it's not just it's not going to be forever. There is a way through, and to hear that someone else has been through that and come out the other side and learn from their experience. Or maybe you're the one who shared a personal experience and have shared something that you are going through, and welcome in that support, and given that inspiration to somebody else, or given someone else permission to allow themselves to heal. because that's what we need to do, my darling. We need to heal. We need to give ourselves permission to let go of the baggage that we're carrying, to break down some of those barriers and the walls that we've put up around us, and particularly around our heart. And don't get me wrong, those barriers and those walls will have served you at some time. They would have been there for protection. Maybe something happened and it hurt your heart, so you needed to protect yourself. And I understand that. I don't think I know anyone who hasn't experienced that, unfortunately, but that is part of life. But we don't need to keep those walls and barriers up forever. We can give ourselves time to heal. We can lean on each other. We can get support to be able to heal ourselves and break down those walls, open ourselves up, and let ourselves be seen for who we are, and allow ourselves to connect with each other. And I'm talking about really connecting, because think about the relationships that you have and who you are connected with, whoever you're living with, your loved ones, your social network, your work colleagues. You have probably so many connections, but how connected are you? How much do you let people see you? How much do you see those people? And yeah, of course, there's a balance. So I could do a whole podcast as well on boundaries. Maybe I'll do one on boundaries next, because it's really important and really powerful to honor ourselves and our feelings. But the more we do this, the more we can understand ourselves. So when I talk about connection, it's not just to others, it is also to ourselves. That is the most important connection. If you can be connected, fully connected to yourself, and know who you are and know what you're meant to be doing here, then that is your superpower, my darling. If you can connect to yourself and your intuition and your guidance and your wisdom, that is all you need. You have all the information. You know everything you need to know. Your body, your mind, your soul. And your breath is a gateway to help build that connection. If you are able to connect with your breath, it will enable you to connect deeper with yourself. Trust me. I talk about my experience. So if you've listened to the first episode of this podcast, where I share a summary of my story, when I was practicing breathwork, when I first discovered it, I would have powerful emotional releases and breakthroughs in every session almost. But it was during my 6-day seminar in Brazil that I had the deepest, biggest breakthrough, where I released trauma around my father passing in a tragic accident when I was a teenager. Now, after this breath session, and I was processing everything that had happened and everything that came through, and what I realized, how I felt at that time, is more connected to myself than I ever have prior to that. I can only describe it as though I had almost dropped back into my body, because I'd spent so much time living in my head, overthinking things and judgment and thoughts and all of that, because I had disconnected from my body. I had disconnected from myself, because whatever was there was too painful for me. It was too painful for me, and I had stored it away so deep, and I had disconnected on such a subconscious level, I didn't even realize it had happened. So at this point of this breathwork session, I can only feel myself. I felt so connected, and I knew what I had to do. I knew myself better. It's almost like I could feel my feet on the ground again. I felt like I was in my body. I felt like I was here and present, and I was like, wow, I have to share this. I knew exactly what I had to do in that moment, and I was so divinely guided, because I was connected to myself again. And now, don't get me wrong, this is something that is a practice, because just like anything at all, to maintain something, we continue to practice it. So this was my great opening to myself, my great connection to myself. And since then, I have been honoured for the last 8 years to be practicing and sharing this beautiful, powerful breath technique and teaching everyone that if you can connect with your breath, it's going to help you to connect with yourself. And that is where your healing will happen, my darling. That is where your healing will happen, because you will be able to unlock, release all of those things you're carrying. You'll be able to understand the things that are coming forth for you. You'll be able to understand deeper the experiences that you're having. You'll be able to receive in the support that is there for you. You really, really will. You have to trust me on this, because it's one of those things where you can tell someone and tell someone and tell someone, but you never really know until you've experienced it for yourself. So this is one of the reasons I've created this podcast, to have this space to share these experiences and, bring on other people who have had these experiences so you can hear from them as well. And I've got some incredible guests lined up, so you're in for a treat. Just keep listening. But I want you to start reflecting on yourself, for yourself, and talking about connection and connecting with yourself. Let's do a little bit of breath work together now. We'll do a little bit of breath connection, breath awareness, to help you start to connect with your breath, start to be aware of your breath. And whenever I talk about breath work, if you are a complete beginner, or you don't know where to start, then I always say just start by noticing your breath. Start by paying more attention. Start by being aware of what's going on with your breath. Notice it at different points of the day when you're doing different things. Notice it first thing in the morning, last thing at night, when you're in the middle of doing something, when you're typing out an email, any point. Start to be more aware. So let me guide you through something now. If you are driving, obviously, just pause this for another time. Otherwise, just take a moment to do some breath awareness with me. So I'm going to invite you just to sit comfortably. Now, you can do this lying down. If you'd rather, you can do this lying down. Otherwise, just sitting comfortably. Allow yourself to relax into your space. Allow your back to be fully supported. So adjust yourself as needed. Uncross your legs, keep your feet firmly on the ground. Relax the arms. I'm going to invite you just to take a nice deep breath in with me first of all, gently in through the nose. And just sigh that out of the body, letting it go. Now, if you feel comfortable, you can close down your eyes if you wish. Close down your eyes gently. And allow your body to be completely held by the surface beneath you. Allow yourself to be held by the chair, still feeling your feet on the ground. And allow your body to soften. Just soften the back. Soften your head and your neck. Relax those shoulders. Soften and relax all of the muscles in your face. Unclench that jaw. Just drop the shoulders even more. In fact, let's release the shoulders together a little. If you wish to inhale gently through your nose, as you do, bring your shoulders up to your ears as you inhale. And as you exhale, allow the shoulders to drop and release. And if you wish, just roll the shoulders back a few times. Roll the shoulders forward a few times, just to allow them to let go. Then just allow the relaxing to continue. Relaxing the back even further. Relaxing your arms, allow them just to soften. Softening the belly, relaxing the legs. And as you do this, it's quite normal for the body just to need to adjust. If you need to yawn or do anything like that, just listen to your body. Allow it to do what it wants. And now I want you to bring your awareness and attention to your breath. Bring your awareness to your breath and just notice it. Observe your breath. Just follow that breath in as you inhale. Follow it out as you exhale. Notice how it feels. Notice where it's moving. Is the breath moving more in the chest? Is it moving more in the belly? In the abdomen? Maybe it's about the same. What do you notice about the flow of your breath? Is it flowing in and out gently, smoothly, like a wave in the ocean? Or are you noticing a little bit of pausing, a little bit of tightness? Does it feel a bit jagged? It's absolutely fine. Just whatever you notice, just observe for the moment. Just pay attention. How deep or how shallow is your breath? How fast or how slow are you breathing? Are you noticing a natural pause in between your inhale and exhale? Again, just notice how it feels. And again, if at any point you need to yawn or relax, do so further. Listen to your body, listen to your breath. Notice how it feels. Now, if our breath is flowing more into the chest, then we want to deepen that breath gently. We want to slow it down and allow it to come a bit more into the lower abdomen. We want to engage the diaphragm. So as we inhale, it's the belly that expands out first, and then the chest expands out, and then on the exhale it releases. Now this can feel challenging at first, so let's try a gentle exercise together that's going to help us just to slow the breath and deepen it slightly. What I would like you to do is just observe and count your inhale. So as you're inhaling, count the number to the top of your inhale. As you're exhaling, count the number to the end of your exhale. So maybe, for example, it's 2 in for the inhale and 2 out for the exhale. Or maybe it's 3 in and 2 out. Just notice. And what I'd like you to do is, if it's not equal on the inhale and exhale, I'd like you to make it equal. So if you're inhaling for the count of 3, I'd like you to exhale for the count of 3. If it's 2 or 4, it's fine. Whatever your inhale is, I want you to match that on the exhale. Allow it to be even. Allow your breath to equalize, bringing you back into balance. Breathing in and out for an equal count. Now, if you feel comfortable, try and increase the count of your inhale by 1, or even 2 if you'd like to challenge yourself, but still keeping the inhale and the exhale the same. Try this and notice how it feels. As you do this, also be aware of what muscles you're using to breathe. If you notice that your shoulders are moving, allow them just to relax. Allow them to soften. We don't need those muscles to breathe. Now just complete that last round that you're on. And after your last exhale, I'm going to invite you to take a nice deep breath in through the nose with me now. So gently in through the nose, deep as you can. And again, now just sigh that out of the body and let it go. Feel free to do that again with me now, gently in through the nose. And exhale, letting it go. I'm going to invite you now to gently bring your awareness back. So you may just want to give your little fingers a wriggle, wriggle the toes, stretch out the body, roll the shoulders back, stretch out the arms, have a little wriggle in your chair or lying down if you did lie down. And gently just start to bring your awareness back, blinking open your eyes if you did close them down. And just share with me in the notes what you noticed. How did that feel? What happened to your breath? Observe how you're feeling now compared to how when you began. Just notice, observe. Our breath is so powerful that it can change depending on how we're feeling and what we're experiencing in that moment. And our breathing pattern is completely unique to us. No two of us breathe the same way, which I think is pretty cool. There are typical breathing patterns. So, for example, some people may breathe more in their chest, some people more in their lower belly, some people more around the middle, around the solar plexus. There are more typical breathing patterns, but the way that each one of us breathe is completely individual to us. So it's about understanding that. It's about building that relationship with your breath, because it will reflect directly on what you're experiencing at that time and how you're showing up in the world. So it can actually impact how you're feeling. And so if you're able to change the way you breathe, you can change the way you feel, my love, and you can change the way you show up in the world. There is so many things that our breath can teach us, so many things that we hold in our body with our breath that we do not even realize. So I want you just to practice being more aware of your breath. I'm going to share more in this podcast about what those different breathing patterns mean, how you can start to recognize it, what you can do with it. And I will invite you to start to explore breathwork a little bit more. Now, do work with an experienced certified facilitator if you'd like to go deeper into this work, because there are plenty of breathing exercises you can do at home yourself. But the deeper practice, like I teach transformational breath, it is a deeper integrative breathwork technique, which is able to allow you to go deeper into what's stored in your body and release it. So it's ideal that you work with a facilitator of that who is trained to support you, facilitate you, and guide you through that. So I will put some details in the show notes about how you can reach out to me to work directly, about my upcoming classes and workshops, and also my online programs if you are interested. But stay tuned, because I'm going to be sharing more information on this podcast as well. And you'll be hearing from a lot of cool people who have been through some very, very incredible changes and transformations and healings and openings. And I adore these people. So they are going to be coming and sharing their stories with you too. But for now, thank you for listening. and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if anything resonated for you, and I will be back sharing more here soon. I wish you a beautiful rest of your day and keep breathing, my loves. Thank you for listening today. If anything resonated, then let us know below. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, then please remember to like, share and subscribe so we can keep reaching more people to spread the endless benefits and transformations we can experience through breathwork. I'll see you in the next episode.